Hello again. Well, today I'm in the village of Dorrington, and this is St James. It stands on a hill about half a mile from the village, and there's a very strange story connected with the building of this church. St James was built in the 13th century with 14th and 15th century additions. Motorists travelling this road, formerly known as the Low Road to Lincoln, will notice the west tower of the church beside the road. But if you walk round to the east end of the tower, you will see above the tracery of the window a sculptured frieze dating to the 14th century, depicting the Last Judgment. The left half of the carving shows the dead rising from their graves, while on the right is the mouth of hell. Now, when the early Christians decided to build a church in Dorrington, they chose an area near the centre of the village called the Playgarth. But they took the stones from the ancient Druids' temple on the hilltop. However, during the night, all the stones that the workmen had laid during the day were mysteriously moved back to the hilltop. Undaunted, the workmen carted the stones back to the village, only to find the next morning that the stones had again been spirited away to the top of the hill. And so it was again on the third night. And that is why Dorrington Church stands on the hilltop away from the village. A more colourful version of the legend involves demons emerging from a great oak tree and carrying the stones back to the hilltop. When Christianity was introduced to Britain in the 6th century, the missionaries built their churches on the sites of pagan temples as a way of converting the people to the new religion. Problems arose, however, when priests attempted to build new churches away from the traditional places of worship, which often had geomantic significance. This often resulted in the building work completed during the day being undone or moved to another place at the dead of night. Now, because of the links to its pagan past, Church Hill is reputedly a very haunted place, and there's a strange legend connected to the church. It's said, if you look through the keyhole of Dorrington Church at midnight, preferably on St. Thomas Eve, you will see the devil playing marbles. Well, no sign of the devil, but there's some very old graffiti. 1773. Uh, 1779, I think that says. Now, unfortunately, the church is locked, but there are lots more interesting legends. Now, as I said, Church Hill, the graveyard, is said to be very haunted, and it's reputed to be a meeting place for witches. One witch, known only as Mrs. H, a notorious witch in the annals of Dorrington, was said to have been seen frequently on Church Hill in the form of a hare. There is a story of a man in the village who got on the wrong side of Mrs. H. He was returning home one Saturday night after his usual visit to the Musician's Arms when a very large rat appeared before him and troubled him greatly on his way home. Eventually he managed to tread on the rat's tail and then kicked it several times, after which the rat got away and then he returned home. The next day, the neighbours saw blood on the doorstep of Mrs. H's cottage. Alarmed, they knocked on the door, but could get no reply, whereupon they broke into the cottage and found Mrs. H badly battered about the face. Not only could the troublesome Mrs. H turn herself into a hare and a rat, but she could also take the form of a sheep and play havoc amongst the crops. Now, in keeping with Dorrington's dark history, this carving by the roadside is called the Dorrington Demons, and it recalls the legend of how demons or the pagans caused Dorrington Church to be built on the hill. As you can see, the carving is very Celtic in design. Village Green, known as the Playgarth, has been the focal point of the village for many centuries. A small chapel used to stand near here, which was demolished in 1698, and the stones were used to repair the church on the hill. It was here in pre-Christian times that druidical ceremonies were held, of which the dance around the maypole was the last to survive into the modern era. Indeed, Dorrington's name is claimed as meaning Darrenway Town, Darren being the god of thunder, who was worshipped at an ancient oak tree that used to stand near the Playgarth. This unassuming stretch of road just outside Dorrington has a few ghost stories attached to it. I'll tell you more after the train. Now, according to local legend, I'm taking one hell of a risk walking under this railway bridge, because it's said to be haunted by a demonic creature known as the Shaggadfoal. A shagfoal is a malevolent demonic horse said to haunt certain parts of Lincolnshire. The last time it was seen here was in the 1970s, when a man and various postmen in the village spoke about seeing a strange creature on the road below the railway bridge. Sightings of the creature go back more than 100 years, and it may be connected to an old Anglo-Saxon burial mound situated somewhere near the bridge. This road has quite a spooky reputation, and there's another ghost story further along. Now, as I have mentioned, legends of evil shagfoals or tatterfoals were once common across Lincolnshire. Now, these creatures usually haunted the site of a secret buried treasure. Now, according to legend, there is said to be a boundary stone somewhere on the edge of Dorrington, and its location is unknown. Now, this large stone is said to have buried itself, and underneath it is a hidden treasure. So maybe the mysterious stone is near the bridge and the shagfoal is protecting the treasure. It's just a thought. Now, I'm in the eastern end of the village, and according to local folklore, the area is haunted by a headless man with his head tucked under his arm. Now, who the unfortunate man was and how he lost his head is not recorded. A Victorian book on legends of Lincolnshire dismissed the ghost as vulgar rural superstition. Another reference came in the 1980s when a man staying in the village wrote a letter home telling how he had seen a headless phantom walking the banks of this pond. Now, I don't know if the ghost has been seen in more recent times, but one thing's for sure, for such an ordinary village, Dorrington has many strange stories associated with it. Many of the villages and hamlets here in the North Kesteven area of Lincolnshire are rich in folklore. For example, the nearby hamlet of Bayard's Leap, which I have covered in a previous video, has strong associations with the Knights Templar and a legend of an evil witch. Just a few miles from Dorrington is the small village of Digby. The village church is dedicated to St Thomas of Becket, and in the graveyard there is a tomb with a rather strange legend attached to it. The tomb belongs to Robert Cook, an 18th century squire who made a fortune, but by all accounts he was not one to hoard his wealth. The old squire apparently loved nothing better than to throw a good party, and he was famed for his lavish entertaining. When Robert Cook died at the age of 72, a respectable age for the 18th century, he had been preceded to his tomb by most of his drinking pals. But it is said that the party still goes on, and all you had to do to hear the merry old squire and his friends was to run backwards around the tomb 12 times, then listen. If the party was in full swing, you could clearly hear the clink of glasses and the sound of merrymaking. Okay, I'll show you the tomb of Robert Cook. Now, there are two Robert Cooks buried side by side, but it's the older tomb here on the left, where apparently the partying is still going on, 2 centuries after the squire's death. Legend has it you have to run backwards 12 times to get an invite. Well, I'm not going to do that. It's a bit of a squeeze. You could fall and crack your head open, and I've no wish to be a permanent guest at the squire's party. At least, not for a few more years. Apparently, on certain nights of the year, the ghost of a man riding a grey or white pony rides around the churchyard. And the apparition is said to bring bad luck to whoever sees it. That small building across the road from the church has quite a colourful history, so let's go and take a closer look. This strange building that reminds me of a pepper pot covers a well, and it dates from the 17th century. Now, it's also said to have been used as the village lockup, the place where petty criminals and drunks will be locked away before being released or transported to a proper jail. Just look how small this is. Now, I'm quite short, but even I'd struggle to get in here. Now, the village lockup fell out of use with the introduction of the County Police Act in 1839, when more police stations were built with cells. The shape of village lockups, particularly the one in Castle Carry in Somerset, are reputed to have inspired the shape of the British police helmet. A fun fact, if it were true. Well, that was my look at some of the little known folklore attached to the villages of Digby and Dorrington. And of course, as usual, if you have made it this far, then thank you so much. And I do hope you'll join me again next time.